Good evening and welcome to ReproAction's Act and Learn webinar for September 2019. Tonight's topic is an important one and a lighthearted one, although serious as well. And it is Laughing to Cope, Comedy and Reproductive Justice. It's going to be so good, y'all. Okay, so first let's get started with your host. This first voice you're hearing is me. I'm Erin Matson. I'm based in Arlington, Virginia. I'm on the left on your screen. And I am one of the co-founders and co-directors of ReproAction.
This is Pamela Merritt. I am based in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm the other co-founder and co-director of ReproAction.
So thanks so much for joining us, everyone. So a quick rundown of tonight's run of show. First, we'll introduce ReproAction. Then we'll talk about comedy and justice. We'll have an awesome panel discussion with Michelle Davis, Jordyn Close, and Lizz Winstead. We'll touch on next steps, and then we'll go to Q&A at the end. So a couple housekeeping things about that. If you have questions for the panelists or anyone presenting tonight, just feel free to put them into the question box, and we'll get to as many of them as possible at the end. You don't have to wait until the end to put in your questions. And then also, if you're on Twitter, you are encouraged to live tweet. Just use hashtag ReproAction. So ReproAction, who are these people? We're a new direct action group formed to increase access to abortion and advance reproductive justice. We're proud of our left flank analysis. We're known for our willingness to hold folks on all sides of the issue accountable, whether they're traditionally considered allies or opposition. And we have a deep commitment to nonviolent direct action as one of the tools in our toolbox. So with that, I will pass it over to Jessica Ensley, our campaign lead at ReproAction, to talk about comedy and justice. Jessica, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having an all right evening. So to start off, I wanted to kick us off with a quote from the Marketplace for Social Awareness and Social Responsibility, and that is, "Comedians have the unique ability to hold a mirror to society and let us see the naked truth." And I also feel that it's really important that in comedy that it should punch up and not down. So it should be shining light on the powers that be, but for instance, not making fun of marginalized communities. And obviously it is the 18th anniversary of 9/11. So I wanted to touch on the aftermath of comedy in a post 9/11 world. So the very first Daily Show after 9/11 happened, Jon Stewart gave a tearful and long, wonderful monologue about not giving in to fear. He stated that the view from his apartment was of the World Trade Center, but now it's, quote, the Statue of Liberty. The view from South Manhattan is now the Statue of Liberty. You can't beat that. By showcasing the truth of the raw trauma that Americans were facing at the time, it allowed for space to heal, to then move on to the laughter. And I also wanted to touch on some trailblazing women comics. So first up is Jackie Moms Mabley, who is the first Black woman to establish herself as a single act in stand-up, which is no small feat. And then Phyllis Diller is one of the first women comics to become a household name in the United States. And then these next few names, I'm sure a lot of you will know, but Ellen DeGeneres, Whoopi Goldberg, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Hannah Gadsby, and Margaret Cho are all trailblazing women comedians in their own right. And I also wanted to touch on a case study about comedy and justice. So a few years ago, back in 2014, a stand-up set by comedian Hannibal Buress went viral of him discussing Bill Cosby's sexual assault allegations. In, I believe, the Private Club, the video that was released, he told a few jokes and instructed the audience to go home and Google them himself. It reignited the conversations surrounding Bill Cosby, and as a result, more victims of Bill Cosby came and spoke out. Later, Buress himself actually rejected the notion that he played a pivotal role, but I feel, and I know a few others feel, that that joke really showed the power that jokes can have when pulling back the curtain and showcasing the truth. And that's it for me, so I will go ahead and pass it back to Erin.
Thanks, Jessica, and so great to have you join us and lead that discussion tonight. So now I'm going to unmute our first panelist, Michelle Davis. So Michelle is the co-founder of the Feminist Flag Corps and is a patient support advocate at Ohio's statewide abortion fund, Women Have Options, which is available at womenhaveoptions.org. Michelle uses she, her pronouns. Michelle, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Michelle? Oh, you're muted. Let's try again. Okay. Let's see here. Try this.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, we did it. All right.
Yay.
Welcome. Michelle. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for sticking with it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so before I even ask this question, and like seeing you in the vest just puts me right in the mode of being out there in a swarm of abortion opponents, which is really something for those who haven't experienced it. And I'll never forget this time when this young man told me very solemnly that sex doesn't feel good unless you get a baby out of it. And I remember looking at him and like putting my face down and being like, I am so sorry. There was nothing else I could say.
Oh my
and
God.
So I just wanted to open there and ask you the question to you doing this work. How does humor play a role when counter-demonstrating against the anti-abortion movement?
I think humor plays a huge role because, like, first of all, these people shouldn't be taken seriously because they're garbage. Second of all, it's not like you can talk to them or reason with them. They go to school, they go to homeschool to learn how to defend these ridiculous views that they have. So I feel like the best thing you can really do is just like point out the absurdity of it all. I think it's important too for our side to have a release because we have all this like anger and hatred and just everything bad heaped at us at all times. It's for patients, people that work in the space. And humor is a nice way to alleviate those feelings and just feel good about what we're doing because we deserve to feel good about it. It's like any other space, any other medical space, you can make jokes about it. Like you can make jokes about getting a filling at the dentist. Like you might not have friends afterwards because it's not a funny thing to joke about, but like people won't treat you like it's taboo. But like in this space, it's almost like we're held to the standard that we're not supposed to joke around and have fun. And like it can be a fun space. We deserve it. We deserve to have fun and humor. So that's, I guess, my hot take on that.
I love it. We deserve to have fun. That's awesome. Thank you for that. So I want to dig in more about your counter demonstrations. I understand you've done quite a few of them wearing a vulva costume. And I wanted to ask about that vulva costume, ask you how that costume came to be, and what response do you get when you're wearing it, both from people who are supporting you and people who don't support you?
Honestly, the vulva costume, it's been years. I don't even know if I am too fat for that vulva anymore, but it's been a while. It's just like a generic vulva costume I got on Amazon. The best vulva costume I've ever seen was this summer. Somebody with a garbage fire with Lizz's team made the most sparkly, gorgeous vulva ever. Like my vulva was very plain and kind of like sad. If I ever wear it again, I'm definitely going to have to put like hair around it and stuff. But the other side hated it, so I guess it was effective. I mean, 10 out of 10. So
that's amazing. And Amazon, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah. What about folks from not from the other side, but from our side? What kind of response did you get to that?
It was good. We raised a lot of money at, I think it was Crafting Outlaws. We took pictures and stuff with people, and we had a giant banner that we had dropped from like one of the parking garages for one of the things Kasich was doing to take away abortion in Ohio. And so we used that as like a wishing well when people were throwing money on it. And so we've raised money with it. So that's good.
Thanks. That's great to hear. So my final question for you right now, and I want to encourage folks, if you have questions for Michelle, feel free to put them into the chat box, and we'll get to as many of them as possible at the end. So, you know, one of the things I think about is, I mean, obviously, so the anti-abortion movement has a lot of people who are just bananas and saying things that are just defy belief and reason, and there's a lot to laugh about in there. At the same time, you know, the end result is people's human rights are being violated, people are getting hurt, people are being incarcerated, and, you know, sometimes you hear them yelling blatantly racist things at people walking into health centers and the like. And so one of the things I think about too is like what's appropriate and you know, what are the appropriate venues to bring humor into these moments. So my question for you is, how do you think someone can begin to appropriately incorporate humor into their activism on the ground for reproductive health rights and justice? So things like counter demonstrations, et cetera.
I would definitely say I'm definitely not the right person to ask about what's appropriate. But if I had to guess, I would say there are definitely spaces where, like, if we are being humorous, it's kind of on the side. Like when we're escorting, yeah, we're like, I hope antis are listening. We're definitely talking shit about antis, but like they're not our main focus. Our main focus is patients. But if antis are doing something ridiculous in those spaces, we might record it or take pictures of it and then post about it, you know, later on when we're not in like a patient-facing space. But I feel like antis are a wealth of humor. Like it's almost like shooting fish in a barrel. Like everything they do is absurd and bizarre and like counterintuitive and weird. So it's like it's like easy. It's like and people aren't aware of their behavior. That's one of the things I found. Like sometimes just bringing awareness like with humor is a way to like show their behavior, because they've gotten away with behaving really badly for a really long time and pretending to claim the moral high ground, which they don't have. And so sometimes just pointing that out, humorously or not, is a great way to expose what their movement really is, which is just oppressive and disgusting.
Hear, hear. It is oppressive and it is truly disgusting. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put you back on mute, and thanks again. And
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it over to Pamela.
Thank you very much, Erin. So I have the pleasure of introducing Jordyn Close. Jordyn is the Ohio State Coordinator at URGE, Unite for Reproductive and Gender Equity, member of the Youth Testify Abortion Storytelling Program, board member of Ohio Statewide Abortion Fund Women Have Options, and works on integrated voter education campaigns, sustainable organizing, and building young leaders. Jordyn's pronouns are she, her, hers, and you must follow on Twitter @ Jordyn with a Y, K-I-E-R-A. Welcome, Jordyn. Jordyn, are you there? Jordyn, are you there? I think we've lost Jordyn. Erin, do you wanna take it over and we can come back to Jordyn and try and reach her again?
Yeah, how about we'll move to Liz right now, and then I'll give it back to you and Jordyn. Sound good?
Sound good, thank you.
Thanks. Jessica, can I ask, and Pamela, can I ask you to mute yourself so we can unmute Liz? All right, let's see if that'll let me do it. Oh boy. Liz, are you able to unmute yourself? I am having all sorts of technical issues suddenly, and I apologize. Let me text wonder if the antis know that we're talking about them and they just have a conspiracy against us tonight. I apologize for these technical issues. Liz, when I try to unmute you, it says too many people are unmuted. If you can hear this, see if it will let you do it. Let's see what it says. Let's see. Come on. Pamela, are you there? Oh, let's see if this does it. Okay. Oh, it's still not letting me do it. Okay. One moment, everyone. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, good. Jessica is going to try another.
Oh, it said I'm unmuted. It said I'm
unmuted. Oh my gosh, the great
a voice came on,
conspiracy
but like
over.
Crazy of Goddess came on.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened, but there's some kind of technology hates us moment. Anyway, Lizz Winstead is amazing, and I'm so glad we've got her on. So Liz is the founder and chief creative officer at the wicked funny organization Abortion Access Front. She is the co-creator and previous head writer of Comedy Central's The Daily Show. She's the co-founder of Air America Radio. She uses she, her pronouns. Find Liz on Twitter at Lizz Winstead and Abortion Front. Liz, thanks for joining us, and thanks for hanging through our technology crap show that we just had.
Oh my God, I was panicking trying to get on, so no worries.
Okay, so let's dive right in. So when did you decide you wanted to use humor to fight for reproductive rights? Was it one pivotal moment when you're like, yes, light bulb's on, that's what I want to do, or was it a gradual build-up for you?
I think it was a couple of things. I mean, the first time that I ever told my abortion story was on Comedy Central on a show called Women Aloud in 1992.
Are you tired?
And so my abortion story involved going into an anti-abortion fake clinic. And so other people telling their abortion stories, I found my abortion to be boring, but I found that the oppression that led to me trying to access it was personally my abortion story. So I told it on TV. For the first time I ever told it, I told it on TV. And so that was pretty interesting. And then people told me I was mentally ill, and it was the whole thing. And so I've always been active. I worked with, they're now called Our Justice, but they used to be called Pro-Choice Resources of Minnesota, which is an abortion fund, and did benefits for them in the early 90s. And so I always use my humor for causes around abortion access, but it really was, everything sort of changed for me when I was having a sort of next milestone in career moments. I had finished working on a project, and I was working on my book, and I had moved back to Minnesota with my dog so that I could write where I'm from. And it's kind of when all the trap laws happened in 2010, 2011. And I realized that I had been passively, of course, in agreement with abortion access and being active in it. And when those laws started happening, and I realized that as somebody who's had 3 abortions, I never really was working to make sure in a proactive way that somebody else could have an abortion. knowing that comedy worked with politics in general, I decided to gather folks that I'd worked with in the past who had done satire and done work, and create this organization as sort of a two-pronged, well, kind of a three-pronged collaborative effort. One, to be able to make videos and do rapid response on this issue, because how much oppression is happening versus how much the media covers it, we all know is the chasm is so great that it's thoroughly upsetting. And then we travel around the country and help out clinics. Our focus is independent clinics, and we do shows in areas where a lot of times comedians or musicians don't visit these towns, and a lot of these folks in these towns have to travel to larger cities. And so by gathering folks in a room and then having a conversation afterwards with the activists who are doing the work in that town and the providers in that town, it gives a larger platform to the people working on the ground to reach our audience, and then they can sign up and they can participate in actions that are local. Basically, we're helping grow activist bases around the country. And so sometimes humor can be used simply as a gathering tool. And so, and then we go and we work on clinics and do this kind of Habitat for Humanity thing around indie clinics who sometimes can't get people to fix their fences and do their lawn work and paint their clinics and stuff like that as well. So that's what we do.
That's awesome. And when you say Habitat for Humanity work, like you're actually like painting for them?
Yeah, we've done everything from wholly repairing fences to completely re-landscaping gardens to painting exam rooms to buying all new artwork to yeah, like a lot of stuff. Yeah, if it's a marginally easy DIY job, we can do it. If it's a major job, what we do oftentimes is we will bring that to our audience to say activism can be volunteering, I mean, not even volunteering, putting yourself up to be hired to do a works project and having your van be parked in front of a clinic, and it blows people's minds. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And your website, is it abortionfront.org?
It is aafront.org.
aafront.org. Awesome. Everyone, be sure to check this out. This is fantastic work. So let's move into some of the work that you're known for that you just described. So if you can play this out for me. So when Abortion Access Front rolls up with humor to counter demonstrate against this self-described pro-life movement that is yelling at folks who are entering clinics and just trying to access healthcare, how does your humorous counter demonstration impact their message? And then secondarily, what is the response from clinic staff and those who support reproductive rights?
So, you know, it varies clinic to clinic. And so before we even head out, we check with the clinic and with the activists to find out what their protocol is about engagement to begin with. So how we roll up can be different in each spot. If the clinics don't have engagement, we'll roll up often where the antis are having church or doing something else to disrupt something that they believe they have a right to do and don't feel like people should disrupt them. So for me and for us, if we roll up to a place where there's like a bunch of antis in the clinics, like, yeah, go for it. Oftentimes it looks like costumes and joy to counteract a hateful narrative. Sometimes it's straight up just actually blocking their signs with signs that are funnier. Or now with, in the cases of like Operation Save America, now they somehow view me as, and this is pretty hilarious, and Michelle and Clarissa from Feminist Flag Corps have been really stoking the fires. There's some sham website that's on, that calculates the net worth of people who work in television, and they have no idea what they're talking about. And so this sham website says that I'm worth $15 million. Y'all, I wish it was true. So I'm not, but they all think it is and they cite it. So Clarissa and Michelle torture them with me, like they'll check into a 4 Seasons and we'll just talk about how much endless amounts of money we have to fund abortion, and it really freaks them out. And so we like them to think that we have a bottomless pit because it scares them. But also we like to take what they do and turn it on its head. So for example, when we were in Wisconsin this summer, they do something called the ecclesiastical court, where they stand in a public square and they have a list of laws that they believe that that defy the laws of man, because the laws of man go against God's laws. And so it's basically saying we can defy Roe v. Wade because it's not part of God's laws. And it's basically a set of laws that gives them permission to have their own justifiable homicide situations. And it's pretty terrifying. So we this year set up, we did our own court and we held them accountable. And we had one of our actors was dressed up as a female presenting savior that we called Jesus, that had a crown of thorns around their uterus and carried a big cross that said abortion saves. And then we testified and asked them to repent for their sins. Then we asked the state of Wisconsin to repent for their laws. And it was really fun. And they were so freaked out that they didn't even get to their ecumenical court because they were so weirded out by us. And so I think that they are terrified and actually think we're witches. And they don't even know how Wiccan or witchcraft works, obviously, because if you're just literally saying like Harry Potter stuff, they're like, see, that's right from the devil. And it's like, actually, it's from J.K. Rowling, but whatever. So I think that just tamping down their garbage with humor, and because they bring children so much to the clinic, for us, it's really important to be joyful and look like dress in pink and tutus and purples and bright colors and have bubbles, just to present this soft side that is full of joy, that maybe in some weird world, those kids are going to say, I would rather be on the side of joy, not on the side of darkness.
Thank you for that. And I want to encourage our listeners. So Repro Action has a Stop Prosecuting Abortion campaign, and the first video, which you can see on our website, reproaction.org/stop. And the first video we released was actually from an Operation Save America event that they were having in Milwaukee, actually, as well. And it was horrific. And in this video, people were telling us that women who have abortions should be executed. God's law was the quote. And just to get a sense of who these people are and how terrifying it is, given that they're linked to government officials. And so just really appreciate the work that you're doing, Liz. And it's really, really quite funny as well, even in this horrifying situation. So my last question for you, and I hope folks have questions for Liz, put them in the chat box and we'll get to as many of them at the end. My last question before we move back to Jordyn is, so Liz, how do you recommend others use comedy to fight to increase access to reproductive health care?
I think it depends on, like, I think depend on like what you want to do and how you want to access the fight, right? I mean, I think like exposing folks on Twitter with graphics and memes is always good. You know, we have a coalition that we invite everyone to, that everyone that is moderating this and talking on this are part of, and we call it the Scrappy Coalition. And we help people, if they have an issue, we help brainstorm around ideas. But I think that the best way to do it is, I mean, it depends on the situation. I think when you decide to use humor, you know, it's like, what are you trying to raise awareness about a bill? Are you trying to expose a politician? Are you trying to raise awareness around, you know, bullying protesters? Is it around, you know, fake anti-abortion clinics? So I think it's based on your target, I could give you more information. If there's places where you can show up physically with signs and counter against what's happening, that's one way. If you need to try to expose hypocrisy on the internet, that's another way. We do it a lot of different ways. We make videos. We have a daily show on at noon every day that is that we call Operation Save Abortion, and we give kind of some top hits on what's happening. It's sort of a mini version of like Talk Soup or The Daily Show that talks about abortion access in a way that is pretty cool. So I think it's like, I can't really say here's how you should use humor, but what I can say, because it depends on what your situation is, but what I can say is definitely use humor, and always come to us as a resource. We would try to help you in any way we can, put you on a path of helping you brainstorm, because it can be different. Each community is different, so how the humor comes is different. Each community has different levels of hostility, so you want to just take all those kind of things into consideration. So it's tough to say how you should, but I think that everybody needs to understand you totally deserve to, because so often we adopt the moral high ground of what the antis have set up for us, and it's not anything based in truth. So use humor. If you don't know where to start, what your specific situation is, I could be more helpful if you wanted to offline with me on that as well. I'm sorry it's not more helpful, but specifics matter.
No, that's incredibly helpful, and you're awesome to offer this support. So thank you so much, Liz. I am not going to put you on mute because I'm afraid of breaking the computer for Q&A at the end, and I know people are going to have questions for you. So I'm going to pass it over to Pamela and mute myself.
Thank you so much, Erin, and I apologize for the tech drama. I have unmuted Jordyn. Do we have you?
Hello.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's like a whole new world.
I know. Okay, I've already introduced you. I'm going to dive right into the questions, all right?
Amazing.
Awesome. All right, Jordyn, speaking broadly, how does humor impact the work you do?
Oh, wow. I think humor is the majority of the work I do. I would say humor is a large part of the reason I even have my career. My entire platform, or brand, as I like to say, is just like being pro-abortion and pro-snack. I love a snack. My post-abortion snacks were the most important snacks I've ever had in my life. They were so good. This clinic gave me Cheez-Its and juice. But it really is important to me for my career because my abortion was not sad. A lot of people's abortions are not sad. And that narrative is never really talked about because antis have been leading the discussion and framing the narrative around abortion for so long that people like myself haven't felt comfortable. It took me a very long time, a little over like a year and a half actually, that's how long I've been doing this work, to be comfortable in like my own story and my own lived experience, to be like, guess what? My abortion was really fucking dope, and it was humorous and joyful, and I celebrate it every day, and it gave me a wonderful career. And if you have an issue with that, then like, that's on you, not me.
I hear that. Thank you for that. So specifically, what role does oral storytelling in sharing have in your work toward equity? And what advice do you have for others who might want to share?
So I started storytelling first with my abortion fund, Women Have Options Ohio, and then started storytelling a lot more with National Network of Abortion Funds storytelling cohort, We Testify. My cohort was specifically Youth Testify, and they really helped me just like frame my story And they were the ones that were like, yeah, if you want to joke about your abortion, then like that is your right. Like, again, abortion does not have to be sad. Storytelling, in my humble opinion, storytelling is the best way to break down stigma, is the best way to have conversations with people that are probably not as pro-abortion as I am. Storytelling brings levity and nuance that policy or canvassing just like can't do. It puts a face in a person and like lived experiences behind an otherwise over politicized issue. And I use it all the time. I will literally talk about abortion with anyone that will ever listen to me. I love to talk about abortion.
That is so fantastic and such great perspective and advice. So how do you think someone can begin to incorporate humor into their support for reproductive justice in their everyday lives?
You know, like with Liz, I don't have any specifics because it is like pretty situational. For myself, I just kind of realized that sharing my abortion story, just as it was on paper, just like very factual, like the way I share it, like if I'm doing a testimony at the State House, just didn't really work for me. I'm not an average public speaker. I don't write things down before I say them. I kind of just wing it. And that really helped me develop my abortion humor. But I also would say it's not really anything specific that I did. I am one of the luckiest humans on this earth to have been like enveloped in love by my repro community in Ohio, especially when I was young and just started sharing my abortion story. One of the first people I'd ever heard share their abortion story was Michelle. So, yeah, literally meeting Michelle and everyone else in my repro community was the reason I felt comfortable being able to share my story in a humorous way. And like people continuing to do that is going to show other people that they can make abortion jokes and like frame their abortion story however they want. Like it doesn't have to be funny. Like when I tell my story, it's not always funny. Sometimes I talk about like other aspects. But if people are looking to specifically use humor, I would say, honestly, for me, my biggest tip would be to write down whatever you want to write down and ask your friend to proofread it. Don't ask your boss.
That's pretty good advice. That's pretty good advice. Okay, before I let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot because I'm also very pro snack. So what are your top 3 favorite snacks right now?
Ooh, I love a snack list. All right. Cheez-Its always going to be top 3. Yes. Love Cheez-Its. I wish they would make a Cheez-It though that had like extra salt. I love Cheez-It salt. I would request that for my next abortion snack. Other than that, oh shoot, probably specifically baked sour cream and onion Lay's.
Ooh, that's
specifically baked. I'm bougie. I have very high standards for my snacks. And then other than that, I don't know if other people would count them as snacks, but I definitely do. Just like full-on chicken wings, but also specifically drums, medium with ranch.
Okay, you are living your best. And I love it. Thank you so much, Jordyn. Hang on. And we will get to some Q&A. And for people who are still waiting to put their questions in the box, please do so now. I'm going to mute you, Jordyn, just for a moment and hand it back to Erin.
Yeah, so don't mind me if you hear someone like eating popcorn. Thanks, Jordyn. You made me like super hungry. Let's just close it up with what can you do? So support comics, artworks, and organizations that align with the values of reproductive freedom, gender equity, and racial justice. Hint, hint, if you're looking for organizations that do that, let's do that with our organizations here. Repro Action, Women Have Options, URGE, and Abortion Access Front, of course. Try to incorporate humor when necessary in the fight for justice, and laugh. Don't forget to laugh. And then really want to encourage you to plug into Repro Action's work. Oh, we work so hard, and we're just doing some fantastic direct action work, and it's so much fun to be a part of. So just sign up for our alerts at www.reproaction.org. We host these Action Learn webinars every single month, so if you sign up for email alerts, you will never miss an invitation. You're always on our list of who we want to RSVP and say yes. And then you can follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are Repro Action. And also, please save the date for the next Repro Action Action Learn webinar. Next month's topic is much more serious and timely: gun violence and reproductive oppression. That will be taking place on Tuesday, October 22nd from 7 to 8 Eastern. We really hope you'll join us. So save the date now, invite to come later to everyone on our list. And with that, I will pass it back to Pamela to lead the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Erin. And I have successfully unmuted our guests, which feels like an achievement after my tech fail earlier. So thank you, Jordyn, Liz, and Michelle. And I'm going to start with some questions. The first question is, I'll go ahead and direct this first to Liz, and then we can go around. But does the topic have to have an edge to use humor? Like birth control, for example. It's something everyone agrees on, but access is definitely threatened. Is that a more difficult topic to make humorous?
I would argue that everybody agrees upon birth control, as we have seen in Hobby Lobby. And I would say the very act of being a woman or a woman presenting person, or basically anybody who is a non-cis white dude, the fact that any person who is other than that has decided to take a stage and have an opinion and feels that opinion deserves to be heard, that's a radical act in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So I personally believe that if you are somebody that is not part of the power structure who takes the stage and decides that your opinion and your take on the world wants to be heard through humor, it's radical. So depending on the honestly, I used to get booed, and I literally did a study when I would do some jokes that were sort of banal, and I would say, have you ever noticed, and the joke would get and whatever the joke was, it would get a laugh. And then I just subconsciously transitioned by saying, I think like blah blah, and the jokes stopped working. And I didn't know why. And it's because I had changed and told the audience that I think that it was threatening to them. Huh. So basically, every single thing that a person does on stage that is threatening, or that is threatening to somebody out there. So I say, if they're going to find you threatening, then go like ovaries out and just do what the fuck you want to do, because it's going to matter, because all is out there in the world matter when it comes to stand-up. And don't be afraid, because comedy, I don't like babies or chocolate. So there's people who don't like things in the world. And so they might not like what you say. So what? You may change somebody's life in that same room. And always play to the angels.
That's awesome advice. Thank you. Michelle or Jordyn, you want to weigh in?
Cool. I've been pronouncing banal wrong my whole life, but that's awesome. That's cool. Cool. I would say you don't have to be edgy to be funny. You can make fun of like Mark Wolf's shitty haircut. Like you can make fun of Father Time duct taping a crucifix to a broom and carrying it around. Like it doesn't have to be edgy. It can just be sad. Like sometimes sad stuff is funny. So that's my take.
That's a good one. Jordyn.
Yeah, I would agree with Michelle, even though I'm going to bring some very young millennial Gen Z perspective to this. My favorite abortion or birth control joke is just a meme I don't know if anyone is familiar with the birth control case where someone is just throwing away a baby. That is my favorite. That is my favorite birth control joke. It's not even words. It's just a picture, and then I will cry laughing every time.
I'm laughing right now. This is hard to keep a straight face. Thank you.
Sometimes you gotta fetus that fetus. Am I right?
Yeah, it works every time. Every time. Okay. This is a fun one. I'm going to start with Michelle because this is directed, but I'm also going to ask this of our other guests. But Michelle, how are you just the coolest?
I'm literally not. Thanks for saying that. No one's ever said that to me ever in the history of time that's ever known me.
I say that all the time.
It's not true. I guess I'm kind of an asshole. Like I had a principal, hi Miss Pettis, in like 6th grade that was like, if you keep acting like this as an adult, you're gonna get punched in the face, and she was right. So hey, I guess listen to your principal.
Oh my goodness. Liz, how are you just the coolest?
Oh my God, I'm super not. I'm just the youngest of 5 kids in a family who was desperate to actually be able to complete a sentence.
Oh my God.
To like take out all of my rage of my siblings who never let me get a word edgewise on antis is like a joy.
That by the way is how I got started blogging. Was I was able to complete sentences for the first time in my life. So thank you.
Right? Yeah.
And Jordyn, how are you how are you just the coolest?
I don't know, perhaps genetics. No, I am I'm just a huge asshole, you know? I just really do not care if other people like what I have to say. I'm still gonna say it, so.
And that works. That works. So I'm going to give people just a couple of more minutes. If you have any questions, drop them in the question tab. And while we wait to see if there are more questions, I'm going to extend my question that I asked Jordyn about snacks to Liz. What are your what's your favorite snack or your top 3 favorite snacks?
Okay. I think we're gonna have to have a conversation, Jordyn. Because no baked potato chip is superior to a not baked potato chip. So my number one snack is straight up wavy Lay's dipped in a tub of sour cream that has not been tainted with any onion dip of any kind. One. I've very much grown fond of those fried peas. You know what I'm talking about? They're like fried peas that are salty fried peas. I really like those.
Too healthy to be a good snack.
Oh, no, they're okay. Then let me go in hard. Then I think my third snack, I do like a pretzel with peanut butter inside.
Ooh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my 3, but potato chips always and forever top. But never baked.
They never fail. They never fail.
Never fail.
Michelle?
I don't really eat snacks. Just kidding. I like chocolate chip cookies and French fries and anything that has like not super old, like fairly newish fetus in it, I guess.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I have a new question that has popped up. This is from it's from Jordyn. Throwing down the gauntlet. What is everyone's favorite abortion joke? Starting with Liz.
I have a couple. I love Sarah Silverman's joke where she goes, abortion kills your whole day. That's really funny. I have a joke in my act where I say I chose not to have kids a couple of times. And and then I'll go with those two.
Those are stellar. Michelle?
I guess I mumble to myself a lot at the clinic. How can you be against abortion when you are one? I don't know.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Jordyn?
Oh, wow. I also have a couple. Always the classic, Yeetus that fetus. Another classic, Cedo Delito. And then probably my fave actual joke. I cannot remember who the comedian was, but they were just like, yeah, you know, abortions aren't for everyone. And, you know, I guess they're like children that way.
Oh, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. Okay. So Mara Clark. Oh, okay. Somebody dropped an answer into, thank you very much. So those were great. And I think that's a great note to wrap up on. I want to thank once again our wonderful panelists for their patience with our tech issues and for being so damn funny. Jordyn Close, Lizz Winstead, and Michelle Davis. I want to also thank Jessica Inslee from our team at Reproaction for taking the lead on organizing this wonderful webinar. And as always, thank my partner in justice, Erin Matson, for being a great co-director. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful evening and lots of laughs. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.